go to space and I start looking and I find this. Okay, I found this big black spot. Nothing in it. Well, guess what it is? It's right here next to the constellation of Orion, in the western hemisphere of the constellation of Orion. They don't want you seeing, like it says here, sky near the western edge of the constellation of Orion, right in the Washington Post. For some reason, Google decided they wanted to block out that image. They didn't want people seeing something there. So, there's that. The moon. We all know the moon is this bright little cheery character, this guy. But you look at the backside of the moon, and that's what it looks like. And you have to ask yourself why all these craters are on the South Pole. You know, why are there so many craters on the South Pole of the moon? That would tell you that something comes up from the south and is dragging a bunch of debris with it that slams into the moon. Now, that's my own personal conjecture, but common sense would tell you that. Glaciation, deglaciation. You have the ice ages and the warming periods. Okay. Sea level. Back during the ice age, the ocean levels were almost 500 feet lower than what they are now. Historically, people live near the ocean. That's where the fish are, that's where the food is. People build their establishments along the coast of the world. We do it now, we've done it for thousands of years. So, this is what it looked like back during the ice age. You had the glaciers coming down, you had a massive lake here. And actually, this map is not correct because it doesn't show the actual land mass and how big it is. You can see in this picture where the land used to be back during the ice age. Here's the shelf. Okay, this is the shelf of where the water level was back during the ice age. So that's about 400 feet right there. All right, and here's what happens when it glaciates. The glaciers come down and basically cover the upper half of North America and part of Asia. So, this is what's going to lead into the next part, which is really the most interesting part of this whole thing. They found in recent years that the several craters around the same time and of the one that killed the dinosaurs have been discovered all between the latitudes of 20 and 70 north. This led to the hypothesis that that crater was not the only impact event that happened at the same time. So, this is where it gets really fascinating, because this is where you have to throw out everything you know about archaeology and come to the understanding that there's a good chance that we were civilized on this planet a long, long time ago. Ancient artifacts that are going to shatter your thinking of what we know about the past. This is called the Antikythera mechanism. Okay, this thing it's dated to 2,000 years old. Hold on now, as soon as this thing decides it wants to. There we go. All right. 2,000 years old. It's got 30 gears, tooth wheels, okay, able to rotate different speed each. Dials, basically, it's a very sophisticated timekeeping piece. And it was invented 1,000 years before gears were invented. Okay, so how did they have this 1,000 years before the gear was invented? Another question is, how did we lose the knowledge that the Earth goes around the sun? Or how did we lose the knowledge that the Earth was round? And then all of a sudden we thought it was flat, and then we go back to round again. So somewhere along the line we lost all that knowledge. They found these batteries in Iraq called the Babylon batteries. These things are 2,000 years old. What would they need a battery for 2,000 years ago if they didn't have equipment to run a battery off of? I mean, you got to have you don't just create a battery just to have it sitting around and look at it. There's a reason for
cell phone.
Mysterious China stone. Nobody knows what this is. It's an ancient stone with a bolt embedded in it.
Oh.
Okay? It's got screw lines. It's one of China's most precious objects that they hold in their museum. They have no idea what it is, though. Ancient collider from Egypt. Okay, this thing is thousands of years old, and yet it is aerodynamically perfect. They built a scale model of this, a remote control plane, and it flew perfectly and landed perfectly. So how did they know how to build a plane 2,000 years ago if planes didn't exist? All right, now this is off the side of an Egyptian pyramid. Okay, this you have to trust me. This is an actual image. To get it that clear, I had to cut down from the big room image to show you. But that sure as hell looks like a helicopter to me. And these things look like things that we don't even have today. Okay, don't even know what these things are. But these are this is definitely a thing. It's called the Abydos helicopter, and it's on the side of a pyramid. These things were found down in, I believe, Peru or Brazil. I think it's Peru. They built scale models of every one of these, and every single one of them flew perfectly. Okay, these are made out of gold. This crystal skull found down in the Mayan city, when put under a microscope, could not find any evidence of tool marks. Okay, how can you build something that precise? This thing, its bottom jaw comes off, it's exactly perfect of a human skull, and they cannot find any tool marks on it. So where did it come from? Okay, this thing. Nobody knows exactly what this is, but basically it's a got a copper center, a ceramic. This is ceramic, and this is let's see here, causing a 3/4 inch wide cylinder made of solid white porcelain or ceramic. In the center, the cylinder is 2 millimeter shiny shaft metal core, about 0.08 of an inch. And this was found in a wooden box, basically, when they were mining for gold in the 1800s. These things were found by Russian gold miners, little spiral micro objects. You put them under a microscope, and you can tell this is done by a high, sophisticated, advanced. And these things are nobody knows how old they are, but they're not from today's world. They're from some other time in the past. And some of these are made of tungsten, which has a melting point of 6,100 degrees. We didn't have that technology for a long time to melt that. These also, bronze wheels were found out in Peru. Gears, basically, long time before the gears. Figurines of dinosaurs, okay, thousands of years old. How did they know what a dinosaur looked like? Okay, thousands of years ago. The 5 plutonic solids, okay, these are the basic 5 solids of geometry. These things are also thousands of years old. This ivory tusk carving, 22,000-year-old ivory tusk carving. Okay, dinosaur on the side of temple in Angkor Wat, I believe this is. Or no, this is Ta Prohm temple, deep in the jungles of Cambodia. How did they know what a stegosaurus looked like? This is the most amazing thing to me of all. The London artifact. You see, this is embedded in rock. This is 10 million year old rock that it's embedded in. This hammer is so old that the wood has started to turn to coal. When they x-rayed the head of this hammer, they found no air bubbles in it. Okay, air bubbles are a sign of a lower steel process. The more manufacturing sophistication you get, the more air bubbles you get out of it, the stronger the metal becomes. They couldn't find air bubbles in this piece of metal. That's this hammer that looks like something you buy from Walmart, and it's embedded in 10 million year old rock. So these ancient pipes in China, they found sticking up out of the ground. Okay, nobody knows what this is. They found all these gigantic ancient pipes sticking up out of the ground. This was just recent, actually. This was just over the last couple of years. The Chinese have sent out all these specialists out to the area to map the whole area and to try and index and find out what these things are. So they found all these giant pipes. Here's another dinosaur relic. Nobody knows how old it is. This is an interesting thing right here. This is called the Pure Reefs map. This right here is Antarctica with no ice on it. Okay, how did they know what Antarctica looks like with no ice? It's been millions of years since there hasn't been ice on Antarctica. So either they had ground penetrating radar, or else this map was handed down, or this is on a gazelle skin from a long time ago, when somebody knew what Antarctica looked like without ice on it.
How did they know it was South America?
Because this matches, I mean, if you, like I said, I can only breeze over this stuff because we're limited on time, but if you go and research this stuff, you'll find that this is an actual, this is the coastline of Antarctica right here. It fits perfectly. This right here, they want to tell you that this is a natural event. Okay, is that natural? That looks like a structure that is designed to take an extreme amount of pressure or weight. It's pretty obvious to me that that's not a natural occurrence. And then they also try and tell you that this is natural too. That's called the Baglands Guardian. That's up in Canada. They say that this is a natural event, but and they've built a mine right in his ear hole. And this is the road going into the mine. So they tell you that this is a natural event, but I can't see that that's natural. That's just been. So anyway, that's the ancient artifacts, which is pretty mind-boggling in itself.
Was there anything ever said about Stonehenge?
No, I didn't really get into that because it's just not somewhere I